Hey everybody, I'm Melvin Middleton. This is Counter the Culture. I appreciate you coming back and seeing us today. Today's a very special day. Actually, some people say it's a day that will live in infamy, kind of like Pearl Harbor Day and stuff like that. It's my birthday today, and it's Sunday, the 24th of April. And if you want to send me a birthday greeting or something, you can do that on the comment section of this thing. That would be cool. I'd really appreciate that. Hey, today is my birthday, and I am 39 years old. It's wonderful being 39. Those of you that are older than me, I'm sorry for you, but it's okay. Anyway, I'm actually not 39, but I'm not going to tell you how old I am. It really doesn't matter. So anyway, God is really good, and I'm really excited about what God is going to do for you in your life this year. My best friend of my whole life, we have known each other since he was 3 and I was 4, and he had a birthday this last week. And I was thinking about the first time that I ever saw him that I remember. And then us growing up, and they had moved away from the town we lived in for a long time, and then they moved back, and how that we really didn't like each other when we first saw each other. He thought I was bossy and arrogant and stuff, and I just thought really not much. And we ended up being hard, fast friends for the last, oh my goodness, probably close to 50 years. And but that, which is impossible because I'm only 39. But anyway, that's another story. What I'd like to talk about is that, whenever I was kind of texting with him this last week back and forth, it's hard when you are really trying to do your best all the time. It is really hard because the devil tries to talk us into thinking that we're defeated right away. He wants to convince you the way that he did so many people in the Bible that you're done, you're defeated, there's nothing you can do about this, there's no hope for you. Kind of like when Jesus was crucified, a lot of the disciples and stuff, they were really broken. They were like, man, I can't believe that Jesus died. There's no way that he should have died. He was our Messiah. He's our Messiah. There's no way he should have died. And they felt defeated and everything until 3 days later, the defeat was over. And they saw that Jesus actually said, death, where is your victory? Grave, where is your sting? It wasn't there anymore. Jesus delivered it from that. And I was talking to my family today at the dinner table. And by the way, my girls made dinner for me today. Awesome. And they made this lemon cake that was a lemon Texas sheet cake, and it was divine. I thought I was at the marriage supper of the Lamb, that Jesus had come back and got us, and we were up there eating or something. It was good, and that made me feel good. And the weird thing about it is, if you look at our lives, the things that make us happy on the temporal level right now, something that tastes good or something that feels good or something that sounds good or something that we would really like to do that we get to do, all those things are great. But isn't it funny that it only takes one thing that the enemy can do or say or make you feel or something happen to make you feel like you're completely defeated and everything's hopeless and there's no way out and all that stuff. Isn't that funny how he can do that? Not funny, haha, but funny, peculiar, how he can do that to you. Well, I have an encouraging word for you today, and that's this. Let's go back to the book of Genesis, where Adam and Eve were at, and Eve got deceived by that old serpent, Satan. He talked to her and tried to convince her. He said, she said, yeah, well, God told us if we eat of this fruit, we'll surely die. He goes, you won't die. You're going to be like God in knowing good from evil. You guys, he used God's words for them and turned them around to make it sound like something that was completely reasonable. Well, he deceived her. And here's the thing. Her and Adam ended up being pushed out of the Garden of Eden, and they had to make their way in this world, and Adam had to till the ground and deal with thorns and thistles and things like that infest the ground, and she had to go through the pain of childbirth and all of that. And that's where those things came from. It was a consequence to their disobedience. But the enemy had a consequence too. And basically, I guess that The serpent that was in the Garden of Eden with them stood up on legs and walked around. Now, serpents like we know them, they crawl around on their belly on the ground, and they don't have legs and they don't have arms and stuff. But this serpent did, and was able to communicate with words to her. Interesting enough, he had to bear consequences too, and still to this day is bearing consequences. And what that is basically God told him, because of your deception, you're going to crawl around, you're going to eat dust the rest of your days. You're going to eat dust, you're going to crawl around, no arms, no legs, they're gone. God the Creator uncreated his arms, uncreated his legs, they were gone. And he had to crawl around the dirt, and he said, you may bruise the woman's heel, but she's going to crush your head. Or you may bruise his heel, but he's going to crush your head. And that's exactly what Jesus did. The enemy on the cross, he bruised Jesus' heel. But when Jesus rose from the dead, he crushed his head. In the movie, The Passion of the Christ, Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he was praying, and you can see how they kind of symbolize the enemy, the devil, talking to him, and how evil and everything that was, and how that Jesus, when he finally concluded his prayer, and he said, Father, not my will, but thine be done. And he stood up. There was a serpent on the ground, and his sandaled foot came up and crushed the serpent's head. And I think and I was sitting in the theater, and with several people from the church, and we're sitting there in the theater, and that happens, and I went, yes, like that out loud in the theater, because the imagery was so real to me, of us crushing the enemy's head, of Jesus crushing his head. You guys, he has not defeated you. Jesus defeated him for you. You don't have to do anything to defeat him. What we have to do, you guys, we say, man, I would die for Jesus. I would die for him. He doesn't want you to die for him. He already died once and for all. We don't have to die for him. He wants us to live for him. Live for him. You guys, stop going through the process of dying and start living. Even though our bodies degrade, and even though they break down, maybe you went blind, maybe you lost a few fingers, maybe you're not able to walk, maybe you're in a wheelchair, maybe there's all these things, maybe you suffer from chronic pain every day. Get back in the process of living and stop dying, because you're going to live for eternity, but you're not always going to have this pain. You're not always going to have this discomfort. You're not always going to live like this. These things are going to change. And trust me, they're going to change suddenly, and they're going to change soon. Don't worry about that. Jesus has got you. He's got your back. He's right there with you all the time. You're never alone. Trust me on this one. My daughter was showing me something on the internet just yesterday that I thought was really cute, kind of funny. And it was a guy preaching, and he said, the devil's an old serpent. He's an old serpent, and he's trying to do bad things, and he's evil, and he's deceptive, and he's the old serpent. But that serpent has had his arms removed and his legs removed. So he's disarmed and defeated. So I thought that was kind of cute. Think about it. When Jesus did what he did on the cross and rose from the dead, he disarmed that serpent and defeated that serpent. Just like God had done in the Garden of Eden. Jesus did it again. And you know what that does? That reminds the devil, you lose, I win. That's what Jesus told him. You lose, I win. The grave has no sting for me. Death has no hold over me. You guys, that's the cool thing about this season we've just gone through. I don't want us to lose that thought of that season of resurrection day or whatever, to be with us year round. We talk about Christmas year round. Let's talk about Easter or Resurrection Day year round. Let's allow the Lord every day that you wake up to resurrect your heart, make you new every day, make you right with him every day. Isn't that cool? Isn't that what you want to do? That's what I want to do for sure. Jesus, I thank you for your word. I thank you for lessons from your word and even silly things that we hear that entertain us and stuff, God, that just bring us back to that center of who you are. God, we were not created to worry. We were not created to fear. We were not created for any of that. We were created to worship daily. We were created to be part of you and to find you on that daily level and to become a pure reflection of who you are to this world. Jesus, I know that you're the light and we are merely a reflection of your light. So help us be an accurate representation of who you are to this world. I pray that you would change our lives, change our minds, change our hearts today on April 24th, 2022. Change us, God. Make us more like you. In Jesus' name I pray. Well, I thank you again for coming back and seeing me one more time. You know what? We'll be back here, hopefully, Lord willing, next week. And I pray that you're with us. And by the way, in case somebody hasn't told you today, because I know I haven't told you yet today, other than Jesus, I'm the best friend you've ever had. You just don't know it yet.